Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. We got my man Dalton Rosta, Hercules, in the house, coming off his first ever pro loss. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. How did you process your first time losing?
It was hard, man, especially right when it happened, when that final bell rang, I knew I lost the match, I let it slip away from me in the second round. I made some mistakes, caused me to get tired. And then, third round, I didn't really have anything left. And when that final bell rang, I knew what the result was going to be. I knew I lost, and, it hurt right away. I was in disbelief, even though I knew how the last, 8 minutes of the fight were going. It was still just like, it felt like it didn't feel real. And then, as I'm walking out of the cage to the locker room, it starts setting in a little bit more, sitting in the locker room. I'm getting down, but at the end of the day, I've been here before. I've been here with wrestling. I've been here with football. And I've been here in the gym, I take losses in the gym all the time. So even though it's under the bright lights in front of thousands of fans and then in front of millions on TV, it's no different than what I'm experiencing in the gym, what I experienced in wrestling. It's the same feeling. And this time it's just more eyes on it. So it's tough regardless, but there's things you could definitely take away from it.
No doubt. I had the pleasure of being there, in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota, and I haven't seen all of your fights, but I've been in person for a good amount of fights. And in my personal opinion, I don't think I've seen you lose many rounds, let alone the fight. I haven't seen you lose many of the rounds that I've been to your fights. And, I think it looks, if I look at 3 rounds, the first half, and for those of you that don't know, this is your first time, because Dalton's been on a few times, undefeated as an amateur, was 9-0, right, as a pro, or 8-0? 8-0 as a pro. So now 8-1 as a pro. All his pro fights have been in the Bellator cage, which has extreme talent, in it. And I think in the 3 rounds, if I look at almost like a football game, the first half, I would make a case to say you won the first half, and then you lost the second half. What things do you think you've learned, if anything? What do you think you learned from this fight?
There's definitely technical things that I could still work on, but the game plan going into the fight was strike. He's going to take you to the cage. We know that. As soon as you get your back against the cage, circle him off, disengage, go back to the middle, strike. Only wrestle if you need to. Only wrestle if it's there. Only wrestle if it doesn't expend energy. And in between the first and second round, my coaches reiterated the game plan, because I was winning the first round handedly, winning the striking exchanges, even winning the clinch. But they told me, when you circle him off of you, you get his back against the cage, you're back to the open, disengage. You're winning the clinch, but you're getting tired. We can tell you're getting tired. And I sat there and told my coaches, no, I'm good. I'm not tired. And they knew damn well I was getting tired, So they, even after I said that, they said, well, don't wrestle. You got caught in that front headlock at the end of the round. You got hit with the knee in the head. It's illegal, but still, we don't want you there. We don't want you to end up under him. We don't want him weighing on you. We don't want him causing you to use more energy than you have to. I said, okay, like I understood, like I was going to listen to them. Second round, went out, listened to them for 30 seconds, and then I got right back to doing what I was doing at the end of the first round.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think that is?
So I said it on my Instagram. You go to my post that I made, like I could sit here and give you a million reasons as to why I think I started wrestling. There's when you're fighting, there's a difference between instinct and conscious thoughts. So whatever I was doing was obviously subconscious. It wasn't like my coaches told me like, hey, don't wrestle. And I'm like, I ain't fucking listening to you guys.
So you don't think it was ego?
It could have. See, this is what I'm saying.
They're
it could be a million
subconscious
wrestlers.
because
It could be ego.
I could, I've told you before when we had
Romero
Cotton fight, right? And he was a 3-time All-American wrestler, national champ wrestler. And I know you, so I'm telling people behind the scenes that I know. I'm like, I know Dalton just because he's a 3-time national champ wrestler. Dalton gonna want to take him down. He's gonna want to wrestle him. You know what I mean? And part of that, I think, is what makes you, is what makes you great, is that chip on your shoulder that I'm going to prove you, a little bit of ego, that you got to have in order to win. It can't be all passive in order to win, especially when it's one-on-one and it's a dogfight. So, but how much of that do you think subconsciously even was like, yeah, I'm going to show them even I could win this on the cage? Because you were winning it. Even though that was his game, I watched every time he got your back against the cage, you were able to easily reverse it and overpower him, on the cage. I wonder if a piece of it wasn't like, yeah, I'm going to show him again. I'm going to beat him at his own game.
So I know a thought that crossed my mind for sure during the fight was when we were in the clinch. Every time I circled him back against the cage, I literally thought to myself, like, wow, is this all this kid has? Because you watch his fights, and he holds everybody there, and it's like they can't get away. And I was thinking all camp, I'm like, this kid can't really be that strong, or he can't be that technical in the clinch where they can't circle off the cage, or they can't move their feet and get out either way. So when we were in the clinch and I circled him so easy the first time, I was like, okay, maybe he wasn't expecting that, because I landed some body shots and an uppercut right before I circled him. It was like boom, boom, and then circle. So maybe I caught him by surprise. Second time, circle him again, pretty easy. And now I start thinking, like I said, is this all this kid really got? Third time, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this is all he got. He's weak. This kid isn't very strong. I'm a lot stronger than he is, which I expected, but I didn't expect the difference to be that much. And I wasn't even using all my strength. I was trying to conserve energy like my coaches planned. So me using 50% of my strength and being able to circle him like that, I was like, okay, this is going to be easy. So that's why I kind of stayed in the clinch. I was like, I could just stay here. And then a little bit later in the round, I noticed I started getting tired. But one of the times, and this was completely accidental, I think, although you can make arguments otherwise based off of other sequences that had happened during the fight, when he's pushing my face away on the cage, when he was trying to, like, get me off him, he was kind of stuffing his forearm in my face and pushing my face away. He dug his hand or his fingers in my eye. So it was technically an eye poke, and it had the same effect as an eye poke. I was seeing double in my right eye. But we were in the middle of the clinch. It's not like I could say anything to the ref, like, I can't see right now. He didn't see it. That's all he's going to say, and we're going to have to go back to fighting. And then at that point, once I identify that problem, Aaron Jeffrey knows I can't fucking see.
Right.
Then he's going to take advantage of it.
Right. So
I let that go, And I stayed in the clinch for a little bit longer because of that. And then I disengaged when I felt like I could see well enough. And so that was a little bit of it. And then the wrestling at the end of the round, he kind of like stuffed my head, so I just went for the shot, So that was kind of like him pushing my head down. It was like his reaction or his offense or his defense, I should say, that caused me to shoot. And then that's why my coaches told me, don't wrestle.
Yeah. Yep.
And then wrestling in the second round.
Do you think subconsciously it was ego?
It could be. And like what I was getting into there was kind of that, where I felt a lot stronger than he was. I didn't think he had much for me. I knew that was his game, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to beat him at his own game. Yep. I think it cost me energy. And then, but the wrestling in the second round, it could have been that. It could have been, it was just instinctive. Like I seen the first sequence when I shot in the first round, I was circling him, and he was like, his leg was like low against the cage, and I went to like snatch like an ankle pick, and then it didn't work. But I think the first one I went for was just because I thought it was there. Yeah. It wasn't because like, okay, I want to take him down. It had nothing to do with ego. Yep. I just saw it. Yeah, instant. And I reacted. Yep. Then he stopped that. He stuffed my head again. He made me start carrying his weight. And this is something that, like, we were having trouble with during camp too. Like, when I would end up in the tie clinch, like, people would control my head easy, and my coach was like, we need to work on that. And he was kind of pushing my head down too when we were in this clinch, but he was pushing it down between his legs. So I was like, it looked like I was trying to wrestle, but really I was trying not to get choked.
Was there a was he trying a 10-finger too at any point?
Yeah,
Looked
so
like there was a
he
10-finger.
tried the 10-finger guillotine when I was in on that second double leg after I went for the ankle pick.
Yep.
He stuffed my head in the middle. He pushed it in the middle, and then he trapped it with his forearm when I went back and watched the film.
Yep.
Which is I mean, it's pretty good tactic.
What you got to do.
So you can't take anything away
and
from
it brings it's that's another one that'll wear you out. You know, it cuts oxygen. Even if I don't even know how much of it was submission attempts versus just trying to be annoying in that position, because those are tough to finish.
Yeah,
you know,
he
you
was
got to hit
making me
those
carry
perfect.
his weight. So at the end of the day, I made some mistakes.
Yep.
But he countered the mistakes, and he was smart in there.
We're 9 fights in now to your pro career. How much do you feel like you've grown from fight 1 to fight 9 going into fight 10? Do you feel like there's been a huge learning curve that you've learned a lot growth-wise, or do you feel like you grew more from any one fight to the next that sticks out to you?
Not one that I feel like I've grown every single fight. And I've said this to you all the time. You know, a lot of people love to throw around that saying, you know, you win or you learn. For me, I think that's bullshit, because you should be learning in both. It's win or lose, learn in both. And you should be learning in victory and defeat. And now that I'm on the losing side of it, you know, I still feel the same way. But I think there's more that I can learn from this than I can in my victories. When I'm winning my fights, I go back and watch the film. I'm picking the things that I think I need to work on. You know, I'm like, okay, I made a mistake here.
Right.
But now that I'm on the losing end of it and I'm in bad positions and I'm losing these positions, regardless of what reason they are, I'm like, okay, I need to fix that. And this fight, I believe it was mostly mental mistakes that ended up causing technical mistakes. But
no doubt. And a lot of the game is mental. You know, I know we've seen people that have went their career undefeated, but most of the greats in this game, you know, not everybody goes undefeated. Most people actually, you know, some of the greats don't go undefeated, even though and I know that probably was in your mind of like, that's what you want to do is go, you know, 22-0, you know, 30-0, you know, whatever. But in this game, it's difficult, you know, for people to run the gauntlet and go the whole way, you know, undefeated. So I know the version of you coming after this. I know your mentality. I know the way that you attack things. I know how much you throw your whole self, you know, into this game. I know there's going to be huge growth, you know, coming from this stuff. And I know you've been a huge believer in you know, people say you learn more from your losses, and you've always said, I'd rather learn from my wins, and you can learn, you know, from your wins. You don't need to learn from losses.
You can learn from your losses in the gym.
I think you're going to learn a lot. You know, I think you've already learned a lot, you know, from the losses. Speaking of the learning a lot from the losses, you know, I think you've always, you know, you've had haters. I've seen trolls and, you know, and stuff in the past, social media. I was glad to be there with you, you know, in my mind and heart. You know, I was hoping, you know, obviously I hope you never lose. But when I look at going to your fights, I was hoping that if there was ever a day, you know, that you would lose, that I would be there. You know, I would want to be there. I don't want to be there just for the wins. I would want to be there for that moment. You know, on the journey of increase, on the journey of growth in anything, the more you win, the more haters that somehow attract towards you, you know, and I knew that there would be an opportunity for people to come out of the woodwork, you know, and hate whenever, if that day, you know, would ever come. And there was probably more trolling and negative, you know, people surrounding after that fight than any other fight, you know, that I've seen. So is there any message, you know, that you have in your mind to the haters?
Man, honestly, it made me smile, because they've been waiting, you know, what 7 amateur MMA fights and 7 amateur boxing matches and now 9 pro fights to finally have this moment. You know, they hated me for so long. They've been hoping every single time that I fight that they were going to have this moment, but they had to wait till now to get it. So if I'm living in your head rent free like that, and I'm having that much of an impact on your life, you need to look in the mirror. You know what I mean? You need to reevaluate yourself. And they could have their moment now because it's not going to last long. They think that, you know, I've even seen some people sending me screenshots of people from Newcastle, you know, posting their Facebook posts and their tweets and everything after the fight saying, like, I should find a new career and shit like that. Listen, like you said, it's very rare that anybody ends up undefeated in this sport, and one loss ain't going to define me. One loss ain't going to change the fact that I'm going to become a world champion. One loss doesn't change anything, man. And if that's the way they view things, you know, they're never going to succeed in anything. Because what has anybody on this planet done, whether it be business or even a normal 9-to-5, sports, football, fighting, boxing, anything, where they haven't taken a loss, whether it be, you know, you
public
have
or private.
Yeah, and it's like, you for example, in business, if you're like you own your own company and you have a contract with another company to do services for them, and you get outbid, and then you lose that contract, you don't get the money because you're being a little bit too greedy, you wanted more money, and then you lose that. Are you gonna tell yourself like, oh fuck, I should find a new career?
Right.
No.
Right.
You're gonna
exactly
dust it off.
Amen.
And you're gonna go try and find a new contract. You're gonna go try and bid with another company.
Amen.
You're gonna still get food on your table. You know what I mean?
I think that's part of the process, you know, that I've witnessed for anybody as a professional, you know, in anything, is the more successful that you become, the more eyes that are on you and the more haters, you know, that are waiting to see you fail. You know, it's a shame. You know, it's like as you're coming up, you know, people root for you more as an underdog. And then the more wins that you stack up, the more people start to want to see you fail.
Listen, the crazy thing is after I lost, there was a lot of people that reached out to me that never reached out for a win. You know what I mean? They were, I have a lot of people reaching out for a win. So I should say this, like, after I would win all my fights, every fight, it would end up, I'd get more text message notifications, more Facebook, more Instagram. You know, I'd be blown up after. It would take me days to catch up on everything.
No doubt.
After my fight, you know, I look at my phone. Not that like I said, not that I expect it, not that really matters to me. You know, I lost, I'll handle it. I don't need anybody, you know, patting me on the back, telling me it's going to be okay.
Right.
Been here before. But I look at my phone and there's 24 text messages. That's it. And 8 of them are from my brother hating on me, telling me I have no submission game, no ground game. I need to work on my cardio. I need to stop cutting weight. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, you know. So I'm like, I kind of expected this, you know.
Yeah.
And then to my surprise, over the next few days, people, not just people that were supporting me already, people that never even said congratulations whenever I won, are reaching out to me, telling me like, you know, you're awesome, you're inspiring, you know, keep your head up. This isn't going to affect you. One loss isn't going to define you. Shit like that, you know, just inspirational messages, just reaching out, you know, making sure everything's okay. And to my surprise, like I said, it was a lot of people that I didn't even know supported me, didn't even know that I fought, there was a lot of people, and, you know, I'm super appreciative of it.
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's part of the mental process is coming up. You know, I remember times I've taken losses, or I've had, you know, people criticize me, and I've had to, you know, tell you, like, don't sweat it, Dalton. Mm-hmm. You know, you ain't got to defend me. You ain't got to defend me to these people, or I ain't worried about them. You know, you remember those conversations. Like, I ain't worried about them, bro. I've started to get more and more conditioned through the come up of, this is just part of the game, you know. And I used to refer to, you know, you look at like a LeBron James. Imagine LeBron, every chance he travels to different arenas, you know, you're going to have people booing you from the stands. You're going to have people talking about your mama and holding signs up, you know, talking about you, hoping that you lose. You can't go running up there and arguing with every certain person in the arena, because they're buying tickets to come there and watch you live out your dream. And most of the people that do things like that, they're not living out their own dream, you know, so they start taking that out, you know, on somebody else. Usually the critics and the haters aren't the ones that are successful in their own right, because they know what it requires. They know what it costs. And it's usually, you know, it's that old saying of, you know, you usually won't find a hater doing better than the person that they're hating on. You know what I mean? So it's all part of the process, all part of the journey for anybody listening out there, whether it's publicly, whether it's in fighting, in the cage, in business, in basketball, in football, whatever it is. The more success that you have, the more that you have to get comfortable and embrace the process of having people that want to do that stuff. I think one of the things that makes you is the confidence level that you bring, to the game. I know your confidence level was super high, coming into the fight, and it's always super high. Has your confidence level, did you feel your confidence level shake at all through your first loss?
No. If anything, I'm more confident now because in the first round, I not only showed everybody what I'm capable of, but I showed myself. You know what I mean? He's a high-level fighter. He's one of the best fighters in the world as well. And, in the first round, I just felt like I made him feel out of place, and I felt levels above him. And what happened later in the fight was pretty much me. I got tired, and the reason I got tired because I got away from the game plan, and I didn't listen to my coaches. So, it is what it is. Cardio, your gas tank, everything else is a part of the fight game. It's part of the fight. So at the end of the day, he beat me at that. But whenever it came to skill, speed, power, strength, everything else, I was a better fighter. And
you think experience played into it at all? He had double the fights.
No, I don't think that played into it. I think at the end of the day, I was very confident before the fight. I made a lot of bold predictions, and I said a lot of bold things, you know what I mean? And I was getting some hate after the fight for it, because there's people putting it in their back pocket. They see me say these things, they're putting it in the back pocket, and they're like, okay, if he loses, I'm going to, this
talk
aged
shit.
Well,
Yeah.
You see that type of shit all the time.
No doubt.
But when I say this shit, man, this is MMA, this is sports, anything could happen. People lose in sports all the time. When I say this shit, I'm not scared to say it for being humiliated. I'm saying it because I believe it. I'm not saying it to talk shit and trying to promote a fight. Everything I say is what I believe. I believe in myself. I'm confident in myself. And just because I made a prediction and I was wrong, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to change my confidence. My confidence is based off of what I do in the gym, what I've done my whole entire life, my belief in myself, my belief in my training partners, my belief in my coaches. It's not artificial. It's not reinforced by wins, and it's not reinforced by yes men. It's my confidence comes from within. It comes from everything I do. It comes from my work ethic, and I know all that's there. At the end of the day, I know I'm not being beat because I got outworked in the gym.
No doubt.
That's at the end of the day. That's what it's about for me. I'm gonna go back to the gym. I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna fix these mistakes. And I'm gonna be just as confident, if not more, next fight.
Energy level, wise. Do you think was there anything that you learned or processed with energy level going into the fight? Excitement, enthusiasm, how you handle that stuff. Whether it was the build up to it, the walkout, anything that you grasped from that.
Yeah, so this fight, I said before the fight, it was the best I ever felt before a fight. And that was the honest to God truth. It's the best I ever felt. And you see people say all the time, especially fighters, they say that before their fight, and then they go and have a shit performance, and then they start making excuses. I injured this, I injured that. The day before the fight, I ate something bad and was having like digestive issues or had fucking stomach bug, whatever the hell they said. You see so many excuses. For me, it was the best I ever felt. You know what I mean? You have injuries every single camp. You have bumps and bruises. You're not going to get away with that. This is a brutal sport. So anybody think they're going to go into a fight 100% is mistaken. They're lying to themselves. But all that aside, this was the best I ever felt. I felt like I was in the best shape I could possibly be in. And I know that didn't show during the fight, but before the fight, it was the best I felt. I was super confident. I was making those predictions because I was confident in myself. I felt like I was levels above the guy. And even though I ended up losing, I still felt great. I just didn't have the best performance that I could have. I ended up getting tired, like I said, because I got away from the game plan. That's what made me tired. If I stuck to our game plan, I could have fought at that pace all day long. That's what I was training for, and it just didn't work out for me.
What's the plan on, how are you going to respond to this? Like, what's the thought process of, all right, here's my response? Because life is all response. You have things that go on, and then you have your response, and then you have the outcome. You know, sometimes the things that go on are in your control. Sometimes the things that go on aren't 100% completely in your control. But the response is something that's usually always in your control. What's the response like? You know, where do you feel like your response is at? How are you going to respond?
So, like I said, I've dealt with losses before in wrestling, other sports, and this is a little bit different because in the aspect that you're fighting in front of millions of people on TV, thousands of people in person. So for a lot of people, this can mentally break them. They could be too humiliated. They might quit fighting. I've seen it happen before. They get one loss and they quit fighting. You never see them in the gym again. Or you see guys that they keep fighting and it takes a mental toll on them where they don't believe in themselves and they don't train as well. They don't fight as well every single time they go in that cage. That's on their mind. They're like, am I going to lose again? Am I going to get humiliated again? And that can really ruin people's careers. But I know I'm not that type of person. So this is, if anything, this is just going to fuel me. And I told you before, I have my motivations in place. I don't need any external motivation, but this is adding fuel to the fire, for sure.
No doubt. Any chances you think for a rematch?
Yes.
You know, down
Yes.
the road.
I'm hoping after this next fight, I can call for it. I'll get the rematch, and like I said, I know I can beat this guy.
So you would want a rematch for sure.
Immediately. If they gave me a rematch, if the fight went a little bit differently and I was able to call it for a rematch right now, you know, granted with my popularity in the promotion now and everything that I did before this, the win streak, and I've gained some rapport with the matchmakers and everybody, I feel like they would have done it maybe immediately if had the end of the fight gone differently. But, you know, the second half of that fight, the last 8.5 minutes, I fought like dog shit. You know what I mean? I did not look good. I did not feel good anymore. And so an immediate rematch obviously wouldn't be on the table. I have to earn that back. And I'm ready to earn it. You know, I'm going to fight my next fight. And I'm looking to go out there and dominate
hearing
it.
anything from on when the next fight may be? You think you get one in by the end of the year?
I'm hoping November. I've been on my manager about getting November. I actually texted him right before we started this interview. I've texted him it's been 14 days since my fight. Out of the 14 days, I've probably texted him 10 or 11. I gave him a few days break here and there when I could tell he was getting a little frustrated with me. But I'm like thinking to myself, this is your job, man. You know what I mean? I know you got other fighters, but I want to get back in there. I only fought once this year. And I want to fight again before the end of this year. I want to get that sour taste out of my mouth.
This was your only fight this year?
Only fight this year.
Okay.
So, and I lost. So it's not a good feeling.
How many fights are on this contract that you're on?
I have one more left, and my contract's supposed to end by the end of this year. So I'm hoping they honor it, and I end up fighting one more time before the end of the year. Like I said, I want to get the sour taste out of my mouth. I want to fight and go in there and prove that that's not the person that I am. Prove it to myself, prove it to everybody else, because the first 7 minutes of that fight versus the last 8 minutes, completely different story. You know what I mean? You saw two different fighters, and I want to go and show that I'm the fighter in the first round, every single round. And, I mean, you saw that in the fights before this.
No doubt.
And I plan to show that from here on out. So regardless of who they give me, my next fight, I plan on going out there dominating. You know, if I get a finish or not, I want to put on an impressive performance, whether I get the finish or whether it goes all 3 rounds and I just dominate them all 3 rounds and get on the mic after, call them out again. If they want to make it, let's fucking do it. If they want to have me fight somebody else or he fights for the title, which I don't believe he's going to win, so be it. I'll win another one. I'll call him out again, you know, and then if they want to give me the title fight instead of fighting him, I'll take that. I'll win the title, and then I'll call him out. I'll give him a title shot, and then, you know, we'll fight again that way. So either way, I want this fight back. And, you know, it's not that I'm not getting past it. I'm getting past the fight itself, but I want him again. You know, he's not the person that should have taken my L. There's people on this planet that are good enough, you know, to do that. I don't think he was. I just think I got stumbled and didn't listen to my coaches.
Yep. Part of the game, part of the process. What do you think, you know, for somebody listening, I was listening to a recent interview that I sent you, and I think it was Khabib talking about.
That was an hour long. I was trying to figure out the part you were trying to get me to see.
The whole thing. The whole thing. I went through the whole thing. You break it up.
An hour and four minutes.
The whole thing.
I started watching it last night, and you were talking about the Florida Gators documentary, and I started watching this, and I started getting a little hyped. So I was like, I got to turn this off right now.
Exactly. I was thinking there's no way I would watch that before going to bed. If you watch that before going, it's going to be tough to go to bed.
Yeah,
after.
and
I think you'll pull things from that interview.
Yeah, and I was watching that interview, and just like some of the editing that they were doing and everything, and mixing it with the interview and like part of his fight career and everything else, I was getting a little hyped. So I was like,
just in the intro.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to turn this off and get back to it tomorrow, because my ass, I right now my knees hurt, my lower back's hurt. I would have been out running, you know, at night because all the gyms are closed. So I would have been going for a run. And,
one of the things on there that they were talking about on that podcast is his transition from fighting to coaching. Mm-hmm. And when he was talking about, you know, as a coach, one of the questions was, how would you tell if somebody got it, you know, and don't have, and somebody that's not going to make it. And he gave his input on that, and I'd like, you know, your input on that. But one of the things that came up in that, where that question evolved to, was he was saying, you know, guys that are working because they want to make money, and because they want to make money, you know, they got to go work, you know, 8 hours, you know, a day or whatever. And he's like, if somebody wants to really make it, they got to go all in, you know, even if it was that 5% or 1% that you're missing from having your focus on something else, you know, or working energy, something in your diet that you're missing. Because of that, it's going to affect you, you know, and he believes that if somebody truly is set on being a world champion, they need to cut out, you know, all those things going on in their life and jobs or anything like that, and be willing to go broke if they have to go completely all in. What is the preparation that you think it requires to fight at the highest levels and to ultimately be a champion? What do you think could you explain the sacrifices that go into that and the preparation that goes into that? Because I don't think people, you know, that aren't in it, I don't think they understand.
That's a long answer. But touching up on what he's doing, you can't, if you're, like I told one of my buddies, and I'm not going to mention his name, he was trying to do real estate and fighting at the same time, and he was saying he was going to be a world champion, UFC champion, and he was going to be some great, successful real estate agent. I said, you can only choose one. I said, you could do them at separate times. I said, if you want to fight first and then do the real estate, you could be great at both. But if you're doing both of them at the same time, you're not going to be great at either. You'll be good or above average, or, you know, really good at both, but you're not going to be the best. And that applies for everything. You know, it's not just a job. If you're fighting and you're only training once a day, you're not going to be the greatest. If you're fighting and you're training twice a day, but you're still going out to drink at night and you're getting 6 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, you're not going to be a champ. If you're fighting or you're training 2 times a day, and in between practice you're not resting and you're doing shit you shouldn't be doing, you're eating the wrong foods, you're not going to feel your greatest at practice. You're not going to be able to perform to your full potential. You're not going to be as good as you could possibly be. You're not going to be a world champion. I can keep giving these examples over and over and over again, but at the end of the day, everything needs to be dialed in. You need to have your complete focus on fighting. You have to train at least twice a day, sometimes 3, but at the same time, you have to be smart enough to know when not to overtrain. Because if you overtrain, you overdo it, you're going to have counterintuitive results.
No doubt.
And you don't want that either. So you need to have a good coach in place to tell you when you need to take time off. You need somebody to design your schedule with a little bit of your help too. You know, you know yourself, you know your own body, but you need somebody else to guide you. You need to be all in. Your diet needs to be all in. Your supplementation needs to be all in. Your sleep needs to be all in. What you're doing, your rest in between practice, what you're doing in between practices needs to be all in. Your focus at practice needs to be all in, you know, and there's a lot of people that will goof around or slack off or go through the motions at practice. So you go to practice and you go through the motions and you're not giving it 100%, or, you know, you're like, okay, I know this move already, I'm just going to go through the motions. You might get worse at that move, you know, because now you're starting to slip. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you're really good at a move already, but then you start doing it sloppy because you're already good at it, you're going to regress. That'll happen with anything. You know what I mean? You have a really good basketball player who makes 3-pointers all day long, but knows his technique, you know, and you took time to perfect that technique, shot after shot after shot, made sure every time he was taking that shot on the basketball court, in the gym, whatever, when he was by himself sometimes, when he's with his coach, whatever, made sure he got every detail right. Then all of a sudden one day comes by where he's like, I'm already good enough at that. And he kind of like, he's focusing on other things in his game, which you need to do. But then when he does take that shot that he works so much time on, he forgets about the details. He just, you know, throws up the shot. He's going to regress. His shot's going to get worse. Everybody's going to wonder what happened. And
you know, would you define yourself? Do you think somebody from the outside looking in, if they watch your training and your regiment, would you think they would describe you as obsessed?
Absolutely. And I think the second part of that fight, you wouldn't think the same thing. You know what I mean? My training and my dedication and my commitment to what I do did not show in the second half of that fight. And like I said, it kind of all mental for me. And you have those mental lapses. Sometimes you just hope they're not on fight night. And for me, it was on fight night. So I got some shit I need to work on.
No doubt. You will. The obsessed part of it, have you had people from the outside, friends, family, others, you know, try to tell you, like, you know, there's more to life than fighting? You know, you shouldn't put all your time and energy. You got to go enjoy yourself. You should go do this. You should go do that. Have you ever heard that?
All the time. No.
And how do you process that?
That they don't know. You know, some of them actually might mean the best when they say it, but they don't know. They don't understand. Not everybody is passionate about what you are, or as passionate about something as you are. So at the end of the day, you can't always take it as an insult, I feel like.
No doubt.
Because
comes from a good place sometimes. People that care about you.
Yeah. So sometimes it doesn't come from a good place. A lot of the time. I should say most of the time. But sometimes it really does. And they just don't understand. They don't understand your commitment to it. They don't see what you do in the gym. They just see what you do on fight night. They see what you know, do on TV or, you know, at the fight shows. But they don't see everything that goes into it. They don't see the sacrifice. They don't see the blood, the tears. You know,
there's a book out, an old book out that called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And this is one of the things that I said, you know, I'm passionate about, to where I'm open to taking criticism on if I have to. I don't think you can be the greatest at something if you're not obsessed. I think you got to be. I think if you show me an Olympic gold medalist, if you show me a champion, you show me the greatest at anything, I'm going to show you somebody that's obsessed. And I think where I've seen, you know, as a coach, people struggle is from hearing the outside noise of, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this because, you know, you're obsessed, you only live once, you shouldn't put that much time in. But if you want to be the greatest and you want to play at the greatest levels, it's a 24/7, 365 thing. It got to be on your mind all the time. You know, it's an obsession. What things, in your experience, you know, if you had to pinpoint somebody, even if their skill set isn't there yet, because skill set comes from reps over time and putting the time into the gym, what things do you think you would be able to spot as a person if you said, you know, to say this person has a chance to be great? You know, what things have you learned in the gym from training or watching people? What things would stick out to you where you're like, yeah, I know quickly, you know, I think that person could be somebody that has a chance to be special?
Well, first thing is talent, athleticism. That's the first thing that sticks out. When you see somebody like that, you're like, okay, potential.
They got the potential.
This guy can be good. But then after that, you know, when he's training, it's like, how much tenacity does he have? You know, is he relentless in the gym? When you're seeing him train, does he have like that aggressiveness or the will to do whatever it takes, you know, to be great? And you learn a lot about people in training, especially in this sport, because this sport isn't for the faint of heart, you know. So when shit gets tough, this is the hardest thing to fucking do. When you're fucking tired and when nobody else can fucking help you and you're in the gym sparring and it's your fucking 10th training session of the week and you're dead tired and you got 2 rounds left and you're halfway into the second to last round and there's 3 minutes left and you're dead fucking tired. You know what I mean? You find out who's going to be great and who's not. At the end of the day, in training, because you don't have to be there. On fight night, everybody gets paid. Everybody's fighting in front of millions of people. Everybody's fighting in front of their fans, their friends, their family. That's where you get your bragging rights. You win. You get to brag a little bit. You get to be happy. You lose. You're down. You're obviously upset. Or maybe you don't care. Maybe you just do it for money. But in the gym, when you don't have to be there and nobody's forcing you to be there, especially in MMA, this is like a club sport essentially. It's not the NFL. There's not organized practices. You find out who shows up and when they show up, how they're training when they show up. If somebody shows up and they're going through the motion.
It's not just showing up.
Yeah, because you could show up 3 times a day.
Right.
And you could train. You could slack off. You could just go through the motions.
Same as business.
Yeah.
I see people, they come to the office, and their girlfriend or mother or this one says, oh, man, Johnny's in the, they work so much. They're there 5 days a week or 6 days a week. But if you see them in the office and you see what they're doing, it's like they're not focused.
Duration and effort are 2 different things. You could be there for as long as you want, but if you're not putting in the effort, it doesn't matter. There's a difference between working long and working hard. And I see people in the gym 2 to 3 times a day, but they go in there and they don't put the effort forward. They're going 80%. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be great.
Checking the box.
Yep.
I came.
Mm-hmm. And then you got guys that go in once a day and put all their effort into one practice, but they got more energy. They can come back at nighttime. Mm-hmm. They know they should come back at nighttime.
And they don't.
They're not going to be great. You have guys that come in there and they work hard at both practices. You're like, okay, this guy could be good. But then he's going and getting in trouble outside of practice. He's drinking at nighttime. He's partying. He's not coming in on any sleep.
So you think that plays a role too?
Bro, everything.
Partying, going out on the weekend.
You have to have everything fucking dialed in with this, man. If one thing's wrong, everything can shatter before your eyes.
When I'm hearing this and when I'm having this conversation with you, this mirrors business. Same thing I try to tell young people that I'm mentoring, in this game and in this process. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the big deal? I'm out Saturday night all night, drinking because I work hard all week long. Yeah. What's the problem me going out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking and sleeping in the next day? And
the people will be like, have a little bit of fun, There's more to life than work. It's like, okay, have that attitude if you want to. That's up to you. But that's not the attitude I want to have. I want to be the best I could possibly fucking be.
Like when did you tell me you're going to have a cigar with me?
Whenever I fucking retire. Whenever I win a world championship, I can solidify myself, solidify my legacy as one of the best to ever do it.
Right? So we've been at places and you'll chew on a cigar with me.
Yep.
And you're like, man, it looks cool to smoke these things. I can't wait to smoke one. He said, I'm going to smoke one. I'm going to smoke one with you when I retire. That's when I'm going to smoke one.
But not just when I retire. After I win world championship, defend the belt, become one of the best to ever do it. And I still believe that I can be one of the best to ever do it.
No doubt.
I know I'm going to win a world championship.
What are you now, 27?
27.
27. Just yesterday you couldn't rent a car. 27. 27 years old, in that interview that you're going to dig into, that hour-long interview I sent you, he was talking about he thinks like prime time from what he's experienced is like 30, 31, 32, in the fight game. That was just his personal opinion.
Yeah, I still have a lot of fucking time.
So much time, bro.
And that's what I'm saying.
So much time. Look at you at 22 and look at you at 27. Look at the difference in everything in your life. Imagine 27 to 32.
I have one loss now, but I'm a much better fighter.
No doubt.
And
in life, you're just better all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Beautiful. I think the thing that I'm trying to get at for the listeners, because we have a diverse group of people that listen to this, is I want people to understand what it requires in order to play at that level, in order to fight at that level, in order to be in business at that level. I think the thing that's tougher, in your business is that, like you said, it's millions of people, viewing your loss, viewing you at that moment like an animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nobody gets a TV channel to watch people, build their businesses or what they're doing day in and day out. They just see if they're successful or not.
No doubt.
You know, people see the same thing on TV when they're watching fighters, but they actually have a front row seat or a TV to watch that happen.
That moment.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But they still don't see everything that goes
Everything
into
that
it.
goes in behind the scenes.
Yep. And we've talked about this before. Somebody rolled up next to you when you were in your Bentley and they're screaming, fuck you, and all this other shit. Like, they hate you for no reason. You know, they hate you because you're successful. They see you driving that car and they automatically think all these bad things. Kind of goes the same with fighting, where, you know, I just had my first loss and everybody there. I see, like I told you, I see the people on Facebook send me screenshots.
Brother, I've had the same thing. People sending me screenshots of people behind it, and it some blew my mind when I went through my low adversity blew my mind of the people that I've been nice to that would say something so crazy.
Yeah, but on both ends, you know, they see you win and then they see you lose, and like especially with the stuff you went through, there's a lot of people that were seeing you lose too. And you see how they react, and it's like, it doesn't bother us, obviously, at all. You know, we get through it. We know we're going to be good regardless. No matter what happens, we're going to be good. But these people, they see you get down, and they're like, oh, see, I knew I was right about that person the entire time. Look what happened. Yeah, he should figure something new out. This isn't going to work out for him. It's like, that's how you view it. You know what I mean? You get a front row seat to watch my entire life, and I lose once, and you think that I should get a new career. Do I get a front row seat to your life? No, I don't get I don't get a, you know, cameras and a TV screen or front row seats that I get to pay to come watch you in your office, try to
take an L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to get these contracts, or try to get your workers to do this, or have when your people don't show up and you have a bad day of work, or you don't meet a certain quota or whatever. I don't get a front row seat to that. You know, I don't get a television screen to see that. I don't get to pay tickets to see that happen. You guys are paying money for, you know, the Showtime subscription, or paying money to come watch me fight and hoping that I lose. That's a miserable way to live life.
It is a miserable
That is a miserable way to live life.
Doubt.
And then when I finally do lose and I have, you know, a hiccup or a little bump in the road, and you are so happy that happened, that tells me you were so miserable up until that point. That was a long time coming. That was a long time to sit there and wait for me to lose.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Finally.
It's like, yeah,
I
it's
could
like
let loose.
Yeah, and it's like,
I could party.
Fuck, I really feel bad for you if you waited that long. It's like, I've been fighting for what, 6 years now? You waited fucking 6 years, and every single fight you get your hopes up and you get so happy, like, I can't wait to watch this motherfucker lose tonight. Seriously. And then I don't lose.
Come on, be the one for me, dog.
And then I don't fucking
do it
lose.
For me.
I don't fucking lose, and then they're like, fuck, he isn't fighting anybody good. You know?
Yes.
And then I fight, I mean, all my opponents were good in Bellator, but I fight somebody like Aaron Jeffrey, and he's good enough at certain spots to give me my first loss. Regardless of whether I made mistakes or not, he capitalized on them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take anything away from him.
Yep.
But the end of the day, I have one loss, and then they're like, I told you he wasn't that good. You know, it's like, come on, man. Like, if I had a front row seat, like we said, to your life, how many times would I have been able to say this to you? I would have been able to say it a lot. But guess what? Even though I am able to say it, I can guarantee I can say it, I'm not gonna. No, I don't care that much. I'm not letting you control my life. Even if you hate me, I don't hate you.
This is going to make you better. You know what I mean?
It is, for sure.
I know, you know, we've had our conversations, and, you know, my nickname for Dalton is Dr. Rosta, right? Because he's smarter than he looks. You know, he don't look that smart, but he's smart. He could have been a doctor. He could have been an attorney. You could have definitely been a good attorney. You like to argue.
I do.
And debate. Loves to argue and debate. One of our 100 debates that we had was.
That's what I'm talking about. People only get to see me fight. They don't know that I like to do this shit.
Right. No doubt. Smart as hell. Like a doctor. Right? So one of our debates, or one of our things you've said to me, you know, because I told you I process haters differently than you've processed haters, is I've told you haters do what to me?
They fuel you.
They motivate the shit out of me. And you're like, man, I'm indifferent. You know, they don't fuel me or unfuel me or whatever. I think some haters are motivating you right now, bro.
You think so? I'm having fun with it, man.
You are, but I think they're but you're stubborn, so you'll never admit it to me.
Listen,
Maybe
if,
when you
if
get a little
anybody,
gray in
hey,
your
if-
beard, you'll admit it to
no,
me.
listen,
but I know
anybody,
you.
Hey, if anybody
They're
watching,
motivating you.
Listen,
right
if
now.
anybody watching, like, is watching and listening to me talk, and they think that, all right, if they're able to say it, and there's multiple people that say it, okay, fine, I'll admit to it. You know what I mean? But that's not the way that I feel like when I'm expressing this that that it should be taken. You know what I mean? I'm getting a laugh out of it. I'm saying it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? It's like you waited that long for me to have a loss. You know what I mean? Imagine how miserable you were.
Yep.
And it's not going to last long. You know what I mean? You're going to go back to being miserable right after this. So it's like I'm having fun with it. At the end of the day, they're miserable. I'm not.
The digestion for me is it doesn't affect me negatively, and that's honest, 100% at all. None of the hate ever affects me negatively, but it does affect me positively. It does, me personally. It lights me up. Like, thank you so much. Because of you, now we're gonna double up after this. Because without that little extra burn, when I get a little bit of tired, or if I get a little bit of now I can't retire. I can't until we do this, because I gotta dunk on you. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, listen, you probably seen a lot of the comments on my post after the fight. A lot of these people I don't even know, that I'll never know a day in my life,
I had to
on my
fight
shit.
myself back from not
commenting
getting in
back.
the mud. I deleted a couple.
Listen,
I deleted a few. I went and I'm like, can't do that.
Yeah, I can't say that.
I can't go down this rabbit hole right now.
There was a lot of people on there defending me, like commenting back to these other people that I wouldn't even have expected. You know what I mean? People that I don't really talk to, people that I only know from social media, people that were just fans of me, and they're still a fan. You know, fighting with other people that were fans and now they're haters, because I got a few of those comments too. Like, oh, I was a fan, but now I'm not.
People
blah, blah,
were trolling Gina.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Making smart comments on her stuff.
On her page?
Yeah, I had to pull her to the side to talk about it. And I
Really?
said, just call Natalie if you want to know how to handle this stuff. Because
See, I didn't
welcome
know
to,
that.
congratulations on being pretty and your husband having a butterface. I mean, being handsome, your man being handsome,
Oh, man.
and being a champion and being a professional. This is what you get too. So call Nat if you want to know how to handle it, because Natalie handles it all with style and grace too. She doesn't.
See,
she
I
doesn't
didn't know
skip a
that,
beat.
but I was 100% prepared for it to happen to me, you know. And I'm reading these comments, and like I said, I'm getting kicks out of them, because it's like at the end of the day, none of these people will do what I do, and it's easy to criticize me.
No doubt.
It's easy to criticize me from the couch. It's not, like I said, it's not going to motivate me, because a lot of these people, like, they have fake profile pictures. Their profiles are private. They have 100
Yes.
followers and follow 1,000 people.
Yes.
It's like, come on. Let's be realistic here. Why would your opinion
The
hold
shit
any
they're
weight
saying,
over
wow.
me? Yeah.
I'd like to see them get in the cage with you,
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
since they got so much advice.
let them say what they fucking want. I don't care. Like, I really did not have any desire to comment back to most
feel
of the
you.
shit. You
That's
know what I
good.
mean? Like, I don't care.
tell you this, man. I didn't know after, and I want to ask you about, like, even right now in between, you know, getting ready for the next fight, being here in Pittsburgh, when you're going back to Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
right? That's where it's at,
Yeah.
Lauderdale, Lottie-Dottie, right? So the like when you're going back, but I would just I want to ask you, when you wrap up a fight camp and a fight, you know, after you didn't have a gazillion blueberry Red Bulls or none of the energy drinks and stuff. I didn't think you were going to go out after. I didn't think we were going to go eat, you know, after. I'm like, I didn't know how you were going to process this, you know. So you're going to be like, fuck it. I don't want to go out. I don't want to go eat with everybody, be around all these people, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. I thought you handled it pretty well, you know, to just say, I'm going to go get cleaned up. I'm going to go eat with everybody. I'm going to go hang out, you know, still with everybody, and realize
what do I get by sulking
life
in
goes
my
on,
room?
dog. Like,
Listen,
life goes
I'm gonna be
on.
honest with you. This is my fucking life. It fucking hurt. It stung.
no doubt.
But what do I get from sulking in my fucking hotel room, away from everybody?
Right.
All those people came out to see me fight. You know what I mean? They came to support me. They love me. And, you know, what, if anything, I should be around those people, I feel like. You know what I mean? Not that they would have been upset if I didn't go out to eat with them. You know, not that they expected it. But I'm sure it made them all happy to know that even whenever I lose, I'll still go out to eat with them. I'll still hang out with them. It's, it's not the end of the world. Fighting is my life. You know what I mean? And winning does mean everything to me. I'm the type of person, like, I want to win at all costs. I had an argument with Junior Dos Santos in the sauna the one day where he was like, oh, winning isn't everything. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's okay to lose. I'm like, no, it's not okay to lose. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Did he know how happy you were to get in a debate? You're like, yes,
Yeah,
I finally,
I know.
I got somebody, I
Fucking
roped them in.
too. But I'm like, listen, man, it's not fucking okay to lose. I don't care what you say. I understand you're older. You have kids now. It's not okay to lose. I would never tell my kids it's okay to lose. I would never tell myself it's okay to lose. It's not. It's not. That was not okay what fucking happened, but it does fucking happen. You need to learn to brush yourself off and move the fuck on. And I knew if that day ever fucking came, I'd be able to fucking handle it. And I did. I didn't expect the day to come, but I knew there was a fucking chance, And I didn't expect it to be that fucking dude. That dude was not, he shouldn't have fucking beat me. He wasn't good enough to beat me, but he fucking beat me. Shit happens in the fucking fight game.
Right.
And it was a combination of my mistakes and his fucking skill. You know what I mean? His fucking gas tank. He had a good gas tank. I knew that going into the fight.
We knew that.
You know what I mean? I knew that I struggle with my gas tank whenever I grapple. Whenever I'm heavily grappling, I can fucking strike all day long. My lungs are good, but my muscles fatigue. You know what I mean? So I knew that was going to be a problem. I played right into his fucking game plan. First round, I didn't. I did in the clinch a little bit, but I was still following my game plan to the most part, and I could have won doing that all fight long. Got in his game plan, you know what I mean? Ended up fucking losing because I played right into fucking what he wanted to do. And congrats to him. He stuck to his game plan. He executed it well. I fought dumb, and
He'd been there. He got 4 losses.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. He'd been there before.
But
you know
listen,
what I mean. It's all good.
Yeah, it is. And no, you don't. I'm sure he had the people.
I thought
saying
he handled
should get a new
himself
career.
decent too.
Yeah.
He didn't talk a bunch of shit.
No, he's a pretty stand up guy. It seems
throw
like,
it in your
but
face for nothing.
No, he's a pretty stand up guy. But he was definitely. I mean, he has every right to brag and say what he wants. But I think if he's being honest with himself, he knows who the better fighter was first round. It's like there's a difference between being in better shape and being a better fighter. The best fighter on the planet, when they get tired, they don't mean fucking much. You know what I mean?
doubt.
You could have John Jones if he's dead tired, no energy
Brother,
left.
I know. That third round, being trapped, like that underneath, and he was trying to cut the corner, to your back, to take you back, and you weren't let. I mean, I know what that requires. I told you after, I'm like, man, if anything, my level of respect for you went up because I know what it's like to be like you got nothing left, and somehow mentally you were able to do that.
Practice,
I have no idea.
In jiu-jitsu in practice, everybody's like, okay, I'll just pull guard, let him pass my guard. If I get submitted, we start again. You know what I mean? It's practice. Right. But in a fight, it's win or lose in there. You know what I mean? There's no in between. It's win or lose. I mean, there's a draw, but fucking obviously you don't want to get a fucking draw either. So it's win or lose in my head. Do or die.
Yep.
And I was dead fucking tired. And it's like I still, at the end of the day, did not want to get finished. Did not want to give up the fucking takedown. You know what I mean? He was trying to spin and take my back. I did not want to give it up. I used every bit of fucking energy I had every time he started circling to fucking grab that opposite fucking leg. And I know it wasn't fucking pretty.
Takes.
I know it wasn't fucking fun at the end of that fight that I just sat there and hung on his fucking leg. But that's all I fucking had, I was trying to get the takedown. You see me try to circle a few times. I'm hanging on to it, like hoping, like I don't have any energy. Like I'm literally completely gassed, completely exhausted, nothing. And I'm waiting for him to just like hopefully ease up and make a mistake. Like he's like, okay, this guy's tired. And then he's like, he gets lazy, makes a mistake, and then I could capitalize on it, end up in a good position, rest, and then when I'm not under him and get back at it, you know what I mean? But it happened the way it happened, and I can't take it back, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to go like dead ass tired. I'm not going to fucking, struggle to get back to my feet, not have any reaction fucking time, and fucking get knocked out just for the sake of fans having a fucking fun fight. I gave you guys a fucking fun fight for the first fucking 7 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's because of shit that happened in the fight, and because of me fighting stupid. That's all I could fucking give you. You know what I mean? But I gave it my fucking all for that 7 fucking minutes. And after that, I had nothing left. You know what I mean? And I just like, at that point, I don't want to say it was trying to survive, but it was trying to wait for an opening to take. And if he gave me the opening and I was able
without
to
doing
take
something stupid yourself.
Yeah, or without, I had nothing left in the gas tank. So it's like if I do something stupid now, It could be the fucking end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's like, do I let the fight fucking end now by doing something stupid, or do I try to wait it out to let him make a mistake from being frustrated from me just hanging on his leg, and then next thing you know, I could take over the fucking fight. If the fight goes the whole 15 minutes, I'd give myself an opportunity for every single second that goes to that fight, even though I'm stuck under him.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But if I fucking get knocked out just for the sake of pleasing fans, I lost either way. You know what I mean? So it's like, do I give myself a chance or not? So I tried giving myself a chance. And at me, like I said, for me, it's win or lose. In the gym, if that fucking happens, you get tired, you could fall to your back, fucking pull guard. You can just let him submit you and you start over again. You could slack off. But in a fight, when this dude's trying to take your head off, I'm trying to take his head off, he's trying to take mine. We're both fighting for money. We're both fucking fighting for the wins on our record, fighting for our legacy. You know, there's not, like, so many people. He locked in that Darce a couple times, was trying to spin to my side. I heard him say after in an interview saying, like, he felt me like I broke. I didn't break. I was tired. I had nothing left in me. If I broke, you would have got that choke. He tried choking me with a 10-finger. He tried choking me with a Darce. He tried going with an Anaconda the one time and rolled under. He didn't get me with any of the shit. I didn't let him take my back. I could have let him take my back. How many times has Conor McGregor got tired in a fight and he let Nate Diaz take his back and choke him out? He let fucking Habib take his back and choke him out. That's quitting. That's broken. I wouldn't let him take my back. I wouldn't let him finish me. I wouldn't let him get that choke. He tried choking me 3 different ways. I could have let him take my back and choke me. I could have let him take my back and just covered up and let the ref stop it for a TKO. I didn't do any of that. I'm not a fucking quitter. It might have looked sloppy. It might have looked a little humiliated in the 3rd round because I had nothing left. But at the end of the day, I did not fucking quit, and I would never fucking quit.
No doubt. Speaking of not quitting, what I think the last one I got for you is in between fights. So you get done with one fight. Mm-hmm. You rest a little bit. You eat some things, you know, all that. You enjoy yourself a little bit. How long before you get back to training, you know, typically of like, all right, you know, I'm getting back at it. Like already it ain't like you're back in Florida and you're going 3 times a day. But right now you just said you were already training. You just went 15 rounds or whatever, you know, boxing wise.
In Youngstown.
How long typically before you start back at it? Like not full blown, like I'm in fight camp, but like, how long after the fight typically before I'm back at it? You're in the gym somewhere, you're wrestling, you're grappling, you're boxing, you're doing something.
At this point, I would have been doing everything. It wouldn't have been fight camp intensity. It would have been more technique and skill work and stuff, but it still would have been, I probably would have been sparring by this point. I would have been going live rounds, but a little bit of a back injury, a little bit of a knee injury, it's causing that to be delayed. So it's taking a little bit longer. Like you said, I've been boxing the past couple of days. I tried training on Monday. I did, but was, you know, handicapped a little bit by the injuries and went a little bit lighter. Took Tuesday off because of it. Wednesday.
How long has it been since the
2
fight?
weeks today.
2 weeks.
So
is it typically is it typically a week off and then you're back at it?
Yeah. So I usually get back to lifting, which is new the past couple fights. You know what I mean? But the past couple fights, I would get back to lifting like 3-4 days after the fight, but I wouldn't get back to like actual like jiu-jitsu or striking or sparring or anything until at least a week after the fight. I'd let my body heal. There was a fight where I fought in Phoenix. You came to that one too against Dwayne Johnson, and my shins were all fucked up from like all the kicking I was doing because he was southpaw, and we worked a lot of kicking during that fight camp, and I was doing it during the fight. And my shins were fucked, and I couldn't like even put my shin on the mat. I couldn't even put it on a bed. You know, it hurt so bad. So I took a little bit longer for that one too. So it was probably the same time frame as this. But those were self-inflicted injuries versus this one. I took an illegal elbow and hammer fist to my spine. My knee was a little compromised in the camp, but it ended up coming fight time being what I believe to be 100%. And then I got kicked in it a few times, and I've been having issues with it since the fight. But it didn't affect me during the fight, I don't think. So letting that heal a little bit too. But it's coming along. My knee's pretty close to 100%. My back's getting there. You know, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but it's getting there. So hopefully next week I can start training like full go. You know, get back to grappling at the Mat Factory before I leave and head back down to Florida, because I definitely want to get in there with Isaac.
What to wrap up, you know, to anybody listening, going through a transition, where they in business and life, feel like they took a loss mentally. What would you say to those people to give them any wisdom or any inspiration, anything like that as we close out?
I would just say it happens. You know what I mean? Don't let it get you down. Don't let it upset you. It's a part of life. Everybody goes through it, whether they say they do or not. Whether it's in practice, behind closed doors, in front of people. Everybody experiences it differently. But don't let it drag you down, because it can be the end of you if you do. But if you don't let it, like you said, it could be a motivator. It could make you better. And at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. And for me, I truly believe this is only going to make me better. And, I'm just going to leave the broken pieces on the floor and move on.
Love it. Amen. Well, got your back on your journey, brother. Proud of you. Hercules, Dr. Rosta in the house in the GRINDcast room again. To be continued on the journey to your world title, man. Thanks for taking some time out to come bang with us and hang with us in the GRINDcast room, bro. We appreciate you.
No problem. Love coming all the time, bro.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day.